boxes that the hats came in from the teams.
Sometimes.
I keep my old hats and the new ones that I'm not going to wear in those to keep their form and shape and store them instead of letting them lay around. But so if you run onto one or two,
sure,
I'd be glad to recycle them for you.
No problem. I'll let you know. Because usually we do. Usually we get the box of hats for our team. So I'll let you know.
I'll let Abby in, and Greg, you're the host again.
Sorry about that. Okay, looks like everyone is here, and 7:01. So we'll call the March 15th, 2021 meeting of Lock Haven City Council order. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Byerly.
Here.
Councilmember Conklin.
Here.
Councilmember Mizzordi.
Here.
Councilmember Mincer.
Here.
Councilmember Morris.
Yep.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Here.
Mayor Long.
Here. Acceptance of a correction of the minutes for March 1st regular meeting.
I move acceptance of the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
I have a motion floor and a second. Does anyone have any comments, questions, corrections? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Mizzordi.
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer.
Yes.
Councilmember Morris.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Public comment period. Greg, you mentioned there are some people in the waiting room. Are they here for specific agenda items or?
They are all here for specific agenda items.
Okay. So we'll move on. And when their agenda item comes up, I guess we'll bring them into the meeting. 5A correspondence, pedestrian mall.
We have Marie Valello and Commissioner Angela Harding both joining our meeting right now for correspondence A1, which is the use of East Main Street and Grove Street for the summer pedestrian mall.
Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Who would like to speak first?
Well, Ange, you want me to go?
You go ahead.
Okay, so we had just provided a proposal on March 3rd regarding what we would like to do with the pedestrian mall and how we would like to work hand in hand, with the city and the city concert series and such. So I assume everybody has gotten a copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
And are there any questions?
No, okay, Casey, you're on this. You want to kind of go down through the highlights of that just for the public's sake, since it was sent to us, and
I can go over the highlights if you want me to.
You can do that if you'd like. That's fine. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. I just figured.
Well, no, I mean, it's okay. I can go over them though, because I have them
That's
right
fine.
here with me. But so what we're requesting is the closure of Main Street Lock Haven for the 2021 pedestrian mall, and we would like the closure to include J Street to Vesper Street and Grove Street from Main Street to Church Street. And we intend on the closure occurring at 3 p.m. each Friday through 10 p.m. on Saturday. And so this year, you know, we plan to collaborate with the summer concert series, the current Downtown Lock Haven Inc. events, and other events planned in the city for 2021. To aid in your consideration, we have included a schedule to detail our closure proposed. Do I have to go over all of those? Do you want all those dates?
No, I don't think you need to say every specific date, just, you know, the basics that everybody understands.
All right, our intention is to ask for May for the whole, every weekend. And the month of September, every weekend, and then June, July, and August, every other weekend.
Would it be the first and third? Just for, again, public knowledge.
It works out to be the second and the last weekends.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
June, July, and August, and they coordinate with events that are also being planned, whether they be downtown Lock Haven events or other events from other organizations within the county. So we tried to tie them into already existing events.
Okay, thank you. Nice. Anything else? Anybody want to ask Marie or Commissioner Harding any questions about it?
I would just like to say how much I appreciate working with the city staff and the summer concert series committees and downtown Lock Haven board. And it took many meetings and many conversations and surveys and talking to the businesses and trying to make sure that we were meeting the needs and the expectations of everybody involved. And as most of you on council know, that's not an easy task. And so I just would like to take a moment to thank everybody that was involved in helping us get to this point we are here now with you, and hoping we have your support also to move forward with it.
Thank you. Does someone want to make a motion?
I'd move the request.
I'll second.
I have a motion on the floor and a second. Does anyone have any further comment or question on the motion? Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Thank you, ladies. So we have A2, the use of Main Street, August 13th and 14th for the Jams Festival. That's you ladies as well?
It actually is Steve Getz.
Oh,
So Marie and Commissioner Harding, if you have nothing further, you're free to escape.
Thank you. And thank you to all of City Council for your support and the collaboration with Downtown Lock Haven.
thank you.
Yes. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good night.
You too. Good night. Hey, Steve
And
Getz.
Steve Getz has popped in.
Welcome, Steve. We're now on your agenda item, which is use of Main Street for August 13th and 14th for the Jams Festival. Would you like to address council on that issue?
Sure. How's everybody doing this evening? Good, I hope.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, LH Jams, August the 13th, Friday evening, and then Saturday all day, and then into the evening, August the 14th. Like everything else, you know, the biggest thing is to try to predict what things are going to be like later on the summer. So I did come up with several options to keeping it on Main Street and spacing things out, basically. We're trying to bring back, planning to bring back the art vendors and the craft vendors and food vendors. Again, trying to create more space. Assuming that that's not going to change too much by the end of the summer. I mean, we're still going to encourage people to wear masks and social distance and whatever. But the information that I had gotten once I started to lay a lot of these different plans out, when I was speaking to Casey, she said at this point there was like a 1,500 attendance limit on Main Street, which that's very encouraging. I would, personally myself, with the festival, that seems like a number that's great, and we certainly hope that that'll even continue to get better as the summer goes along. What we're trying to do, which is a little bit different than we've done in the past, some of the safety procedures, not so much for Main Street, but the Deer Walk or reception, we're not going to hold it this year because LHU really couldn't guarantee and verify attendance numbers in an indoor event. So we just decided to cancel that, which it's a hardship, but because that's the major fundraiser for the festival. But we're going to move ahead and try to find some other ways of making money. So, and then the art and craft food vendors, I've already spoke about that. The indoor venue concerts in the evening, we're not going to do those either, just simply because we have a little different template, because the musicians and the bands and stuff will play later on Main Street. There would be a large overlap anyhow, so it'll be a way for us to save a little bit of money there. There may be one that we'll try to do, but we'll address that as a separate item to council in the future, with maybe the Broken Axe and over at the art gallery to do something. The biggest problem with jams this year is a rain plan, because again, indoor facilities like the Elks, possibly even the Masonic Temple, crowd limits, hopefully they'll be better. We don't know that. Nobody knows that. But at this particular point, we're calling it rain or shine, and then covering the stages up and hoping for the best. So really the main plan, and I don't know if you had a chance to look through over my manifesto, but option one would be the one that I would prefer, that keeps using the stage at the Elks, because we have power and we have enough room for the larger band, the Motown band coming from Philly. And then we'll use the other one up the street. And we can position that in a way that we'll see how things go, but we can actually face the musicians to the west on that stage, so that we have seating on the western side and shoot music up that way. So it would keep people from not being in one small area. Again, there's a lot of ways I think that we can fool around to do that. You can look through option 2 and option 3, but hopefully the way it is right now, I would think option 1 would be our preference. So what we're asking tonight basically is to approve to hold jams on August 13th and 14th based on the current information. And I don't know how you want to do this, but I said that, I want to be as flexible as we can. So maybe we revisit it toward the end of June to just see what COVID's like at that particular point. And hopefully, it's better than what it is right now. That would be our assumption, but however you want to address that. Then of course allow cafe seating for the area restaurants and stuff per the pedestrian mall. And I'm not quite sure. I thought that you had free parking probably for the pedestrian mall citywide. Was that done in the past?
I don't think we did we last year?
No.
It was not.
Well, sorry.
Your event is on a Saturday, correct?
Yeah, we're also doing a Friday evening, Greg.
Okay.
Because
we don't charge for parking, after 5 o'clock anyways, either way, as far as that's concerned. And Greg, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want, Friday evening shouldn't be much of an issue because of that.
Okay, so that's.
You were going to say something else.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
But it does coordinate. They did coordinate with the concert series and downtown, and that is one of the weekends that the pedestrian mall will be there, so the street will be closed.
Right.
Yeah, correct. Then, of course, we would request free parking on Saturday the 14th, what we've done in the past 5 years, in the 6th year. And then to use an advertising banner across Main Street from July 19th to August the 14th. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I can go through the schedule and everything. I mean, we have a fantastic group of people coming this year, but the art and craft vendors, the way it is at this particular point, the way we're planning it, they really won't set up until Saturday morning. So it'll be a little congested on Saturday morning before everything gets going, but then that'll kind of help with Friday, and we have to set the modular display up, or the stage up and everything. So anyhow, it pretty much goes with what the pedestrian mall plan is. So you're all familiar with that. Cafe seating with the restaurants. We're trying to encourage everybody that wants to sell, certainly do that, out in the street. And I would assume that they would use their, I don't know what the license is called, but the license to serve alcoholic beverages in their little perimeter spaces like they did last year. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we have everybody in place that we've had in the past, added a few people. So I guess if you have any questions, I can try to answer them.
Go ahead, Bill.
Steve, I just was wondering, the two diagrams that you sent us, the second one, if the vendors needed more spacing because of.
Right.
Okay, that's what I assumed. Okay.
It's just an option. It's not what I would prefer, just
Right.
because it spreads things out too much, and then we have to worry about a power source. You can always do generators, but we have some big bands on there, and it wouldn't quite be what I would like. I mean, I would rather just point the musicians to the west on the option one, and see where that takes us. But yeah, I'm just trying to think out of the box to try to give us more space if we needed to.
To answer your question earlier, Steve, us approving something now wouldn't preclude if, you wanted to adjust coming back and asking to adjust something. So, I mean, if conditions change and so on, doesn't mean we'll say yes. Obviously, we don't know what the situation will be, but it wouldn't preclude you putting in a request to change something if you wanted to. But doing something now gives us a basis to work from.
Okay, that would be great. I mean, if you would want to be able to, approve that option one, and then we'll take a look at it and see where we're at. If that's what you mean. So,
Mayor Long, I would just assume we just approve the events and worry about working the details out, because frankly, within the COVID guidelines, Casey's responsible for making sure that's followed. So whatever happens to be the guideline at that point, you would have to follow anyway. So I would rather just, rather than say option one or option two, that doesn't make sense to me. I would just approve the matter of fact, I'll make a motion that we approve the use of Main Street for Jams Festival on August 13th and 14th as outlined, and as restricted by any COVID restrictions that are in place at the time.
Second.
Okay, so to be clear, you're making it, and that Casey is going to determine whether or not they're meeting that guideline, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Just want to make sure I understand the motion. Anyone have any questions or comments about the motion?
Did I understand you to say that the free parking is a carryover from previous years?
it is, Richard. Saturday, we always requested free parking anywhere in the city. Yep.
Well, I should clarify that in the central business district.
Sorry. Yeah. It just, I always felt that it would be bad politics to give somebody a ticket if they came to the festival. So it was always a great thing to have. You know.
Any other questions?
Did I see that the Highway Hex Blues Band's going to be back again this year?
Yeah, they're going to open the festival up Friday evening. They'll play there, and then we have some great bands coming. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's a mixture of jazz and R&B and the blues and even some alternative country stuff that's just fantastic. I mean, it's just great.
If it was an alternative to country, that would be even better.
I think you might like this.
In your opinion, Richard.
I think you might actually like this, Richard. It's they're pretty cool. This band, so yeah.
Not to waste a lot of time on personal reminiscences, but
Why don't we go ahead and get the vote done here quick, and then I'll let you have your time. Any other questions on the specific motion here? Let's call for the vote quick. Casey, you're on mute if you don't realize.
Yep, the space bar didn't work. Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Richard, you had something. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to take care of the business part.
Now, August of this year will be 37 years, almost to the day, since the very first time I came to Loch Haven. And my first cultural event when I was here was a Billy Price concert.
Oh.
The guy is older than I am.
Yeah. He's quite the guy.
He may be older than Keith Richard, I'm not sure.
He's quite the guy. He's still pretty energetic, and he wants to come to Loch Haven. So
Yeah, and half of Loch Haven will want him to be here.
Right.
Particularly at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because then they won't miss their bedtime.
Yeah, it was my way to try to get people to come to the festival early. So we're putting them on from 1 to 3, and then we have some great people after it. So it'll carry the day anyhow. So yeah, should be a fun day. Just pray for nice weather.
It's Friday the 13th. What can I tell you?
Well, I'm not superstitious, so I went full steam ahead on that. So we'll see.
Thank you, Steve. We appreciate it.
You're quite welcome.
And as always, thanks for putting on the event. It's a great event.
Thank you very much. Yep.
Trying to get down to it this year. Okay, we'll move on to 5A3. And is there anyone speaking on the use of the levy, Greg?
Yes, Andrew Talbot. He is on his way into the room.
Okay.
He's been in the waiting room. There he is.
Hi, everyone. Mayor Long, City Council members, thank you for having me here.
Welcome.
Thanks. So my name is Drew Talbot, in case you don't know who I am, which I'm sure most of you don't. I'm the race director for the Great Island Triathlons, and we are just excited to be back after 2 years of a hiatus to try to contribute again to our nonprofits while we have a good race too. So, so I think Keith Kibler submitted the letter to kind of do the request for the use of the levee. We typically close J Street from our Water Street from J to Henderson on Friday evening and then Saturday morning. And I don't know if he included that. I didn't have a chance to look at that.
You did.
Okay, so I'd love to entertain any questions. It's going to be just like it's been in the last number of years. If you remember back as far as 18 when we did it last. So.
Anyone have any questions for Drew?
If I could add, I am on the committee. I just did not make it to the meeting last week. So I am more than happy to work with them on all the COVID guidelines as well. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Casey. I appreciate that. We were just looking at the outdoor events, you know, at 20% capacity. I think even if it stayed where it is right now, the ruling is, I think, 67 people per 1,000 square feet of space for outdoor events. And 20% of that would put us at like 800 people. So assuming an 68,000 square foot boat launch area. So I think we should be pretty good no matter what the COVID restrictions are, but we'll do the masks and social distancing at the registration table and everything that we'll need to do to abide by guidelines.
Anyone have any questions? Do I have a motion?
I will move the request for approval.
On second.
A motion and a second. Any further questions or comments on the motion? Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your support. We're looking forward to a good race. We'll see you all on the bikes or somewhere.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
Take care. Okay, A4, Lockhaven JCs and Delaware Valley Upward. So we're doing another, a boat race, correct?
Right, this is a boat race tentatively for June 12th and 13th. It would just be the use of the amphitheater, not the closure of the street. So it's not exactly like the Labor Day Regatta. It is a smaller version of that. And the Delaware Valley Outboard Racing Association, in conjunction with the Lockhaven JCs, is requesting the use of the amphitheater and the river for that purpose on tentatively June 12th and 13th at this point.
I think when they first started doing the June boat race, they started calling it the mini regatta because it didn't have all the stuff. Any questions or comments about what's proposed? Or do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right, then I will second it.
Okay, so I have a motion from Bill and a second from Rick to allow for the June 12th and 13th boat races, the use of the amphitheater. Any questions or comments on that motion? Go ahead, Bill.
I did have a question. Are they going to be doing any kind of like a refreshment area? Oh, am I on mute? No, I'm not. All right. Are they going to be doing any kind of refreshment area or anything like that? I mean, I think it'd be a nice idea, but I just was curious. I didn't see that.
At this point, they have not requested that. However, it is the same weekend as the pedestrian mall. So it'll help bring some people down to the pedestrian mall that weekend as well.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. A5, use of the ball fields for league games.
And I'll let the Director of Community Life speak to that, but I believe that these are all up-to-date plans for the league play.
Yep, I've been talking with the Men's Sunday Softball League, the Babe Ruth Junior League, and the Clinton County Girls Softball League for the use of Taggart Park and Petty Park for just their league play. They have provided COVID plans, and I've met with two of the coaches last week just to go over that. I have also attached the updated PRPS guidelines, which we are following. So I'll be working closely with those coaches as limitations and restrictions ease up. But for now, we're going mostly by the same guidelines they had last year, with just some, actually it's not really changed a whole lot for league play. So, but as that happens, I'll be in touch with them. So
You haven't gotten a request from Little League yet?
not yet.
You will be getting it. They are planning to move forward with the season, so.
Yep.
And I'm coaching, so I'm sure that they'll just assume any complaints that are made come from me. So anyway, what's the wish of council?
Make a motion to approve. the use of the ball fields.
Second.
A motion on the floor by Bill, a second from Doug. Any further discussion on the issue? Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes,
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Any other correspondence? Oh, we do have correspondence. We have notice of the 2021 allocation, liquid fuels.
This is so the minutes will reflect the city's receipt of $252,540.58, as well as another $5,400 for liquid fuels payment for this year from the state. It is about $20,000 less than normally the city would receive, but of course, fewer people were driving last year.
5D, notice of community foundation grant awards.
This year, the city has been the recipient from the Clinton County Community Foundation of a $5,000 grant for the summer concert series, $2,500 for support of the City Beach Recreation Program, a deposit of $445 from the Stephen Foreman Small Business Development Fund, and a grant of $362 from the Hoberman Trust towards the maintenance and upkeep of Hoberman Park.
Any other correspondence?
On the topic of Hoberman, the 13th annual Alfred E. Hoberman Legislators Day will be held on March 26th. And this is a virtual meeting. If any council members are interested in attending, there is in the council packet the email address to send correspondence to, so that you can receive a personal invite to that Legislators Day meeting.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other correspondence?
None that I had, Your Honor. I felt that was plenty.
Unfinished business. 6A, consideration of adoption of the 2021 to 2026 capital improvement program.
Provided the city council was the finalized budget for the use of the city's resources from capital project fund allocations, as well as liquid fuels that are approved in the budget, community development block grant, and other grants that the city receives. This year for the general fund, that results in a little more than $1.4 million worth of capital investments, the highlights of which include things like phase 1 of Sunset Pines stormwater project, seal coating and asphalt completion of the levee, and snow removal equipment for public works, as well as continued investments in the central business district and beginning some planning of park reconstruction and design. And the enterprise funds, those as well are significant investments in the infrastructure at the airport, in the water system, and in the sewer system, although most of sewer doesn't begin until next year. But this is money that's approved in the annual adoption of the budget. And what council does is approve the transfer to the capital improvement fund. This month, what you approve by motion is to use that annual transfer in the way set forth here. As always, as Joel will tell you, just because you approve it doesn't mean I'm really going to spend it. But it really is dependent at this point on how 2021's tax receipts begin to come in and how confident we are in the number of people who take up the payment plan, and also the number of people who pay during discount, as to whether or not all of these things can be accomplished. But if the way be clear, this would be the path forward.
Yeah, it's basically our priority list for how the money will be spent as it does come in.
Right.
So, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Anyone want to make a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. Thank you. Motion on the floor and a second. Any questions or comments? This is sometimes one that gets discussed a bit if you have any.
The Director of Public Works is here as well, if you do have any questions.
He never turns on his camera. No questions? All right, let's call for the vote then.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 6B, consideration of resolution 2021-06, the temporary closure of Sarah's Alley.
This is the request from Stella A's that was made at last meeting. And this is the resolution that enables the 90-day closure of that portion of Sarah's Alley as requested by Stella A's. And council can, at the end of that time period, take up the renewal of that as well for another 90 days.
What's the wish of council?
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion on the motion?
Well, if this were Morrisville, then we would be vacating that alley, putting it on the tax roll and saving ourselves the need to go through this resolution ritual every 90 days. But as always, I'm open to instruction on why it is vital to the city's well-being that we keep the alley.
I think that's a discussion for another time since we're addressing the temporary closure right now. Anything? Anyone? Okay. Any other questions or comments on the motion? Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Any other unfinished business?
I had none, Your Honor.
Okay. New business 7A, approval to solicit for bids for polymers and aluminum for the wastewater treatment plant. Is that a Tony thing?
That is a Tony thing.
That is a Tony thing. Hi, guys. So this is a request to advertise for the purchase of the polymers and aluminum sulfate for the wastewater treatment plant. Every year we have to put this out for bid. The polymers and the aluminum sulfate help us treat our water. While this is out for bid, the contractors come in and do some testing on the water to make sure they can get the right poundage for each item there. So the recommendation is to approve the RFQ and we'll get it out for bid.
Any questions for Tony? Do I have a motion?
Also, if anyone would like to do a tour of the sewer plant, it's always open.
Actually, I think at some point when things are loosening up, I haven't seen the new one. I was to the old one a few times. I'd probably like to go and see how this differs at some point.
To take that tour, I will say, does require traveling 3 flights of stairs. But it is amazing structure. It really is.
Thank you, Tony. I don't believe we got a motion yet.
I move
Make the
approval.
motion.
Okay, Richard
For
with the
second,
motion and Steve with the second.
Either one. I have toured it, and it is a very interesting facility, and I think our employees do a fabulous job down there with what they have with that, everything that they handle.
Any other comments on the motion? Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 7B, CDBG budget revisions. Abby?
Now we move on to the city planners portion of this evening's show. And
Good
she
evening.
is here. There she is.
Good evening, everyone. So first is a budget revision for the 2019 Community Development Block Grant Program. This, your resolution will move money between already approved projects. So we'll be moving, upon your request, $209,538 from the East Water Street paving project into the Piper Harmon Safe Fall Surface project. Both of these projects were previously approved in the 2019 application. We just had low bids for the East Water Street project, so we have money to move around and make the Piper Harmon Playground project a little bigger than before.
I'll add to that. One of the biggest uses will be the fact that when the engineers came to inspect the current safe fall structure or surface that's there at Piper Harmon, it has aged out. So while council's project is to put additional safe fall in areas, it turns out the entire safe fall needs to be replaced. It still does not come to that total dollar amount, but for now, transferring to an approved project means any residual that may be left there could be transferred to another approved project in another year. It's just the cleanest way to do that, but the project at Piper Harmon has grown from what was the original intent due to age.
Anyone have any questions for Greg or Abby?
How old is that safe fall surface there?
The existing was installed in 2009, so it'd be about 12
Okay.
years.
So it's quite a, it's pretty old then. Okay.
Yeah, Fall Safe Service has a life of 10 years, they say, so.
That makes sense. It's kind of like a all-weather track. So same difference, about 10 years. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion for this?
I'll make the motion. to make the change.
Second.
A motion on the floor and a second. I don't see any further questions or comments. Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 7C, in consideration of issuance of commercial loans. We could deal with both these together if someone wants to. Who deals with giving the description on that, Craig?
City planner.
Okay.
So the Commercial Loan Committee was busy again this month. They recommended approval of 2 commercial loans. The first one in your packet is for Skeleton Key Boutique. They requested a loan in the amount of $30,000 to be used for leasehold improvements, as well as working capital. The term for their loan will be 5 years, and because it is part of the COVID commercial loan program, it will have a 6-month payment deferral and a 1% interest rate. The second loan request was from Cara Montarsi State Farm in the amount of $40,000 to be used toward working capital. The loan was approved for 3 years because of its uses, and again is subject to the 6-month payment deferral and a 1% interest rate.
I know where Skeleton Key is. Where is the State Farm?
On Main Street, I forget the exact address, but
On the block that Ed Johns is on.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. What's the wish of council?
I move
Move
both
approval.
loan requests.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Yep.
I have a second. Any further discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Minzer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes.
Just a
7D.
comment,
ahead.
on that yet, Mayor. Just, we do have, money left to loan out to those that need help as a business. It's a good deal with a 6-month deferment and a 1% interest. So any businesses in the city that would like to take advantage of that after there are other grants and loans and everything else that's going on, if we can help you, we certainly would be glad to, take a look at your application. CEDACOG administers for us.
Thank you, Steve. 7D, I like this one. Approval of the transfer of $98,765 to the redevelopment authority, representing 50% of the proceeds of the sale of 2 East Walnut Street.
You read the whole thing. Now I just feel like I'd be restating it to say that all over
No,
again.
no, I mean, you
But
can go behind it.
the redevelopment authority handled the sale of the city's property at 2 East Walnut Street, which is the former city garage. And because it was the redevelopment authority, they were able to negotiate the price instead of do public bid, and also put conditions on the development that can take place there that have to be met as part of the sales agreement. The redevelopment authority has been relatively inactive for several years, and for that reason has no bank value. It does have asset value now because the city did transfer some parcels of land to it. But from this initial sale, the redevelopment authority is requesting 50% of the proceeds of the sale of 2 East Walnut Street, which is $98,765, to begin a bank balance so that they can continue their work. For those who are familiar with the history of the redevelopment authority, after the 72 flood, the redevelopment authority was instituted about 2 years later and handled the redevelopment of most of the land that had become derelict because of that natural disaster. And 2 East Walnut Street is one of the parcels that was turned over to the city by the redevelopment authority initially. But most of the development of the area that was most severely flood damaged is what the redevelopment authority was originally formed for. But they do have the ability under the urban redevelopment law to continue to look at blighted properties and address development and blight remediation in our community, which is what they intend to continue to do with those proceeds.
So do I have a motion for the approval of the transfer?
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further questions?
Just to point that I think that transfer should be accompanied by language that makes it clear that it's not that level of commission is not a precedent.
Okay. You made the motion, so I guess that's part of the motion. Rick, I think
You have to be so careful what you say here, don't you?
Go ahead.
I will say that is what Richard amended the motion to say is actually the intent, which is that any future commission would be significantly less.
Okay. And Rick, you second the motion. You're okay with that change, right?
I am okay with that.
Okay. Any further comments? Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes.
Mayor, if I could just ask a quick question of the manager, but I'm sure this is the case. None of that reclaiming of hardware on that property is something we're doing, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. 7E, appointment of the city's delegate and alternate delegate.
I am very blessed to be the city's delegate traditionally to the Clinton County Tax Collection Committee, which oversees earned income tax. And it's time to reappoint the delegate, and the alternate delegate this year would be Jill Edmonds, who's the finance clerk in the finance office, to the Tax Collection Committee, if that be the wish of council.
I'll make the motion to appoint you both as the tax delegate, the city's delegate, and alternate delegate.
Second.
Okay, motion on the floor and second. Any further discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer.
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Okay. Any other new business?
I had none, Your Honor.
Okay. Did Ms. Odell get logged in?
No, sir.
Okay. Just real quickly, I'll fill you in. She wanted to address us about the upcoming rally at Triangle Park that has to do with the loss of jobs at LHU for the ASME workers. Councilman Mincer had asked for an opportunity to speak about integration. Bill?
Thank you, Mayor Long. Most of us have attended at least one of the meetings with Lock Haven University and the PASI administration regarding their integration efforts for Lock Haven University, Bloomsburg, and Mansfield. After attending 2 of those meetings and hearing from members of the faculty and reading information published in the record, I'm concerned that we are not being given all the information. I do not believe there's a clear plan. I think the integration efforts seem to be haphazard with a lot of different moving pieces, and it feels rushed. I understand that the state university system cannot run the way it has for years. I know that changes would need to be made. However, I do not believe that the integration plan that has been discussed is the answer. PASI has not demonstrated to me that they have a clear plan on how this is supposed to happen. I do not believe they've had the time to fully consider the effects this will have on our community and its economy. From the information we have been given, I do not believe that this is in the best interest of our community or the university. For that reason, I wanted to publicly say that I do not support the integration process and would like City Council to consider adopting a formal resolution stating that as an elected body representing this community, that we do not support this integration plan as well. Thank you.
Bill had asked me about this prior, and I asked Greg to put together a potential resolution for consideration. I'll read it to you real quickly. It shouldn't take long. Whereas the state system of higher education has announced its intention to integrate or combine Lock Haven University, Bloomsburg University, and Mansfield University into a single accredited entity. And whereas the integration is described by the state system of higher education as a process of multi-year engagement that lasts only 6 months from October 2020 to April 2021. Whereas a complete and comprehensive integration plan that provides financial review and community impact and shows that our community of students will have expanded on-site opportunities. And whereas the integration calls for at least 15 faculty positions to be eliminated in 2021, an additional 43 in 2022, removing a quarter of the university's instructors, which was the result of reducing which has the result of reducing rather than expanding on-site student opportunities. And whereas through sound fiscal management, Lock Haven University has more than $50 million in reserves that can be used to sustain the Lock Haven University while additional time to take place to plan for the university. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of Lock Haven does resolve to oppose the integration of the three institutions until a complete and comprehensive plan is presented to council and the community that shows that the cost-saving measures will result in greater on-site opportunity for the students, staff, and faculty at Lock Haven University and the community they call home. That is the resolution that Councilman Minzer is putting forward. Am I correct, Councilman Minzer?
That's correct.
Doug?
Yeah, I'm glad that Bill asked for the opportunity to speak. I've spoken to a number of faculty and staff members, as I'm sure all of the council members have, and heard from a number more. I also have great concerns. While I agree with the integration concept in general, I do believe that they are moving at far too great of a pace to make this a truly viable and sustainable integration. So I would echo Bill's concerns. I think the resolution, as Greg put together quickly, is really well written. If you, as all of us, have looked and heard some of the concerns, there's no question that this integration plan will help Bloomsburg. And it will help Mansfield, because Mansfield has been an institution that has been, unfortunately, on the precipice of being closed for probably about 10 years, just due to some really severe enrollment issues, particularly in that region of the state. Lock Haven has done everything that the state system has asked and more for a period of about a decade, and really has positioned itself financially significantly better than many of the other schools, not only the ones being integrated, but many of the other schools in the state system. And it is really being hammered in this proposed integration plan. So I would agree. I'm so glad that Bill brought it up. I appreciate Greg taking the time. I would definitely move to approve that resolution, voice our displeasure with the pace. It's really not that we're totally opposed to the plan, but my question has been from the start, why do we need to move so fast? When LHU has proven that it could sustain itself for several years and continue to build enrollment. So I definitely would make that motion if you're looking for one.
I have a motion. Bill, did you want a second? Anyone else want to second the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor and a second to put this resolution forward. Any questions, any further comments from council before I do any comment? Go ahead, Steve.
I think well said, Doug and Bill. And you mirrored exactly what I was thinking. So far, I've just seen smoking mirrors, and it just seems like my eyes are starting to get itchy because of the wool pulled over my head. And I'm not totally in favor of all the integration things that are going on. I think Doug's, Councilman Byerly's comments about Mansfield, not to trash Mansfield, but I think we were heading in the right direction. I think we could have smoothed things out. I think we could have stayed with our heads above water and probably gotten better and stronger without Bloomsburg being involved with it and without the chancellor. And you guys say it very nicely, but I'm going to say ramming it down our throats. So there it is. I'm done talking about it. I think Doug wanted to.
Go ahead, Doug, you have the floor again.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to overstep. So, I mean, Bill made the presentation. If Bill wants to take the motion, he can certainly do that. I would second it.
If you'd like that, we'll rearrange it.
No, that's fine. It's fine. It doesn't matter who gets credit, just as long as it gets
That's
done.
fine. Whatever way you guys want to do it. Okay. Anyone else?
I think it's premature. We're condemning an integration that we have not yet seen a site of. The Chancellor is holding a meeting with Lockhaven University on the 22nd. The plan is not supposed to be approved by the PASHI board until April the 23rd. And I share everybody's concerns about what's happening. I don't think it'll work. I think the process is flawed, but I don't want to be in a position of having condemned something that we haven't yet seen.
Richard, if you don't mind, if you listen to the part of the resolution that we oppose it, the integration of the three institutions until a complete and comprehensive plan is presented that shows us. This has been presented to us, if I may, which I guess since I'm running the meeting, I can. This has been presented to us like as if this is a done deal. It's happening. And, you know, but we really don't, we're not sure how it's happening. That's really what we've been getting. And I, like Doug, Steve, and Bill, and I'm probably quite a bit more like Steve in my wordage. You know, I feel like somebody's been blowing smoke up a certain part of my body, and they don't have answers. They think this is the end-all be-all answer. And frankly, I think that they're punishing our university for being responsible financially to try to save others, and have moved the goalposts on them several times. They had a plan that you know, to bring us out of this. So the state moves the goalposts, and then they develop another plan that should bring us out of this within that goalpost. And so they say, no, we're just going to join everybody together. So it seems to me, it feels to me like this was the goal all along. This is what they wanted to do, and they felt they had reasons. And when we kept giving them reasons, when I say we, I talk about our university. You know, when we kept giving them ways that, oh, we could deal with this, they kept changing it so they could keep their excuse to go ahead and do what they want to do. That's how it feels to me. Steve, I think you probably feel the same way based on your comments. You know, and of course, why the rush? To me, never waste a good crisis. We got a pandemic going on, so let's try to get it through before anybody really gets to fight it or do anything about it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, phase one of this was approved by PASHI in 2016, so it's not exactly like they're doing it in 5 minutes. And I don't disagree with any of my colleagues' concerns about the way it's being handled, or even the viability of the end objective. My concern is that if I'm going to oppose something, I want to oppose it on the basis of knowledge and an informed debate about whether or not it will work. I don't want to oppose something for the sake of opposing it, because that weakens the effect of any valid criticisms you might have of the plan once we have seen it. I honestly don't believe that this can work. But that's a theoretical position. I don't know how the hell it's going to work, but and you can see that PASHI has already maneuvered itself with an interim president from Bloomsburg to Lockhaven, an interim president from Clarion to Edinburgh. They have all the pieces in the right place on the board. So I just have a conflict not because I oppose the objective of the resolution. I think the timing is premature.
Well, you're entitled to the position. Bill, you wanted to say something else?
Yeah, I tried to be as diplomatic in what I said earlier as I could, and I think I accomplished that goal. Like you, Richard, I you know, maybe a little bit premature to do this, but quite honestly, when you're reading stuff from my understanding that was in the record, that the interim president sent to the students. And what he said in that stuff that was in the record was different than what he said to us in the meeting that most of us attended, or at least sounded different or read different to me. I mean, that was one of the catalysts to my decision to make these comments tonight. I don't think, and the fact that they approved like preliminary planning for this in 2016, but changed, like Joel said, the goalposts since the summer of last year, at least twice that I know of, maybe more than that, to being different, to have different standards of what this was going to be. First, it was just Lock Haven and Mansfield. Then Bloomsburg got put in. And then first it was, we had 5 years, then we had 2 years. And then, so I mean, that's at least 2 significant changes within this one calendar year. And I haven't seen an economic study how this is supposed to impact our community, which is one of the things that as a city council, we should be most concerned about. I mean, Lock Haven University is a third of our population, the students, and faculty would probably make up at least a third of our population. So if we were to lose a significant amount of those people, that demonstrably would hurt our economy in terms of our downtown financial district and all that. So, I mean, I think it may be premature because they haven't given us the plan, but they haven't shown me to this date in 2 separate meetings that they have us, and that's just me. And I respect your opinion, Councilman Morris, but it's just me. They haven't shown me in 2 meetings that they have what's the word I'm looking for? A concrete plan that they're going to go step by step and do this. I think it, like I said in what I said earlier, I think it's haphazard and thrown together. I mean,
and here's the thing that strikes me as disingenuous about the whole thing. They're not yet in a position to give us a concrete plan, but they have hired a branding organization out of Cleveland, Ohio, to think of a name for the integrated university. Now, if I'm sitting in Cleveland, Ohio, how am I going to think of a name for this organization if I don't have in front of me a plan of how it's going to work? So if they can tell their consultancy how this is going to work, they can sure as hell tell us.
That brings me to another point. They specifically told us, I think I even may have asked the question, if we were losing our identity, if it was going to be Lock Haven University. So right there, branding a new university, that's another thing that's changed within the last, I mean, not even, I think the first time we met with them was in December. Maybe it was November. I can't remember exactly, but that's, November to March, or not even March, till February, that changed.
With the town hall coming up, I don't think that'll change anybody's minds, and I don't think they're going to reveal any big secrets. They're only appeasing that they're talking to us so they can say they did. And then with the board voting later in April, and once that's done, even though they say there will be a comment period, I think that's put the last nail in the coffin. So if we don't object now, we might not really have a chance to object later.
I agree, Steve. I don't think we're being premature. I think there's a very short window here. And, frankly, Richard, it could be part of their whole strategy to stall us until they get the Board of Governors to approve it. Greg, you had something you wanted to bring up.
Well, I thought earlier in your comments, the mayor said our university. And I would say as a community, that's absolutely not just the sentiment, but something that the city puts its money where its mouth is on. So the buildings in the flats of the university are protected by a levy, which was paid for by the city. Its students have access to recreational opportunities like the Klinger Walkway, summer concerts, and homecoming in the Corman Amphitheater, which was paid for by the city, as well as additional police protection, fire protection, including a tower truck and a ladder truck, traffic lights, street lights, crosswalks, paved roads, plowed roads, all of which cost money. And to be exact, they cost $576,000. because that's the value of what the university would pay in taxes if it were not exempt. However, all those services that still cost money are being paid for by somebody, and it's every other resident and property owner in this community. The people of this town make that investment, which is significant annually, with the expectation that as a community, we're going to receive a return on that investment that's worth at least somewhere around what the community invests in the university being here. And that can be a lot of different things: more middle or upper middle income earners, more consumers for stores and restaurants, fewer vacancies of homes, more home occupancy and better maintained homes, cultural opportunities, greater academic opportunities for people in this region, and continued residency in our community for those who graduate. So I think overall, the question is whether integration secures the community that continued return on our investment. And if it's going to result in less cultural and academic opportunity, less employees, less property owners, less customers, the city still has to make a $576,000 investment in the infrastructure that sustains the university. Obviously, I can't write you a check for that, but that's the value of their tax exemption. And like any community partner, when you're tax exempt, that's the city residents' investment in your particular operation, because that's what's being waived as a value. So I just think at this point, until there's a better plan in the hands of the community, it's difficult to weigh in to say that integration is something that the community would support, because the community just doesn't have information to be able to say, yes, this is a worthy return on our investment.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything?
Interestingly enough, I think in one of the things that the Chancellor is obligated to do after April the 23rd and until integration is completed is report quarterly to the House and Senate on the progress of the plan, including the value of any property sales. I think it is extremely unlikely that Lockhaven University would be selling any of its buildings, but potentially it could.
And they could do that regardless of integration. Anyways, does anyone else have anything to bring to the table, or should I call for a vote?
Yeah, can I just ask one more question?
Sure.
A, who is this resolution aimed at? And B, what reaction are we expecting?
I would say the resolution would be aimed at the Board of Governors, who have the decision in their hands. Because the Chancellor's already made up his mind. This is his baby, he's tied to it. So this isn't about trying to convince the Chancellor, because he's not changing his mind. This is about trying to get the Board of Governors to pay attention to this, and that we're not satisfied in what we've been presented as supposed to be an improvement for our community. Did I answer your question clearly, or is that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll support the resolution because I support the intent, but I've said enough.
Okay, I think it's time to call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer.
Yes.
Councilmember Morris.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Absolutely, yes.
Mayor Long.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. Greg, do we have any other matters to bring before council?
I have none, Your Honor.
Okay. Anyone else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?